Now for the CEO's panel discussion, may I request the session moderator, Lieutenant General Devendra Kumar, former SONC, to kindly join on the dais. And may I request the CEOs, Mr. Jayant Patil, Mr. Rahul Chaudhary, Mr. Ashok Kanodia, and Mr. Yatish Mohan to kindly join. It's my pleasure to introduce the session moderator, Lieutenant General Devendra Kumar. Lieutenant General Kumar is a scholar, soldier, and a thinker. He retired as a Signal Officer-in-Chief of the Indian Army in September 2006 after rendering 41 years of distinguished service. Thereafter, he was the CEO and Managing Director of Tata Advanced Systems Limited, the Tata's lead vehicle in defense, aerospace, and homeland security till September 2011. He's been on the board of directors of both public and private sector companies. An expert in network-centric information cyber warfare, he was instrumental for the approval of the setting of the Army Cyber Group and the first Information Warfare Brigade of the Indian Army. He was the project director for the Army Strategic Communication Network, ASCON, and is the author of the Defense Communications Network 1995 and Tactical Communication System 1996 and Asteroids, besides a number of regional optical fiber and satellite-based networks in some of the most inhospitable terrains in North and East India. He headed the National Study on Cryptography and was a member of the National Committee on the Spectrum Management. May I request General Kumar to kindly conduct the session.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, seeing the audience that we have and the number of panelists, it may be a good idea to find out for you guys what all you're looking for. And it's traditional that the CEOs will have a last word. So we will pitch in. But just to set the ball rolling, I'm very happy at the selection of topics that we've gone through the day. But all I am trying to submit is that digital battlefield is much more than what we have studied, what we have now talked about. It's really a challenge, and the doctrine, the technology, systems, human resources, organization issues like interoperability and all are something which need to be grappled with. Data storage, processing, information assurance, and all we covered. So I will not touch upon this, but I had done a small analysis of the success of China with regard to the technology insertion and the capability that they have today. And I found there are 4 parameters. One is political will. Second is assured budgetary support. Third is organization, technology, and a viable industrial complex. Now, let's see what we have out of these 5 ourselves here, and then we know why we're not really progressed as far as the defense industrial base is concerned. The second aspect that I want to highlight is that there's a need to develop a comprehensive national capability. Speakers after speakers have spoken to you that the warfare or the national security concept have changed. Today, human security is as important as national security, and each one of us will participate or are participating in cyber war or whatever you may call it. So therefore, the security will have to be seen as one strand across from the individual to the nation. And that's why you require synergy, you require organizational transformation, you require people to interact and share information. That is something which is very, very important. Now, I have been at this seminars and at this subject for, I think, God knows, maybe decades now. I find that there is a bit of a disappointment sometimes which creeps in, and I quite agree with that, because I was one of those sitting that side and feeling the same pinch, that why things aren't moving. This tweaking of policy that we've done in respective purchasing and defense procurement policy and all are measures which are really based on distrust and small little corrections here and there. They, to my mind, are really not an answer when you want to talk about a comprehensive national capability. I think there are two things that I want to highlight before I hand over to my colleagues on the panel. Far too long we have gone through the defense matters and not shared it with the public on the plea of security. In a democracy, unless the public opinion and the public is with you, you will get nothing. The Parliamentary Defense Committee is certainly not the forum which can back up and create national awareness. You have an economic survey 1 day or 2 days before the budget is presented. Everybody talks about it, the media talks about it. The Defense Ministry report is also read. But may I suggest that there should be a national security survey announced in the Parliament, covered by the media, so that the taxpayer knows where his money is going. And if there's any threat to him, as I said, human security is much more important, then he must be aware of that threat and ask the government, how am I protected? And that is where the defense systems will then start coming in. So that's the first thing, that the people must get involved in defense affairs. And where there is classified, you just announce it's classified and people believe you. The second aspect, I think high time that the Ministry of Defense gets reorganized. The Ministry of Defense production must be taken away, and they should be responsible under a cabinet minister of full cabinet rank for modernization, indigenization, execution of projects and things like that. And I propose two organizations. One is a defense technology mission under this ministry, whose sole job will be indigenize. It's damn good to say we want to indigenize and we want to do this. Our weaknesses are so many. You saw the slide which one of the colonels had shown. We are totally inadequate. In fact, we are not even ready to fight the 21st century war unless we do some kind of organizational transformation. The second is we need to have a project implementation authority under the Raksha Mantri, who is then responsible and accountable. Don't forget I talked about the public. Accountable to the public through the Parliament for no cost overruns, for projects on schedule, and no whatever are the inadequacies that you find in our systems today. Unless you have these things, what we are talking in the seminars will ultimately turn into a good lunch, a good break, and thanks to the hospitality of Jayant, we'll continue like this and not progress at all. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I shall rest my case, hopefully, and I now request Jayant to say whatever required to be said.
So taking off from where you stopped, to my mind, as a country, if we really need to move forward in the defense and security areas, we need to genuinely establish those level playing field, which has eluded us last 70 years. There's constant, and even today, probably with the new government, we see at least some green shoots which are appearing. And I'm sure these green shoots within next 2 years will genuinely start showing what exactly happens. But looking at the past, and if past was one way of moving forward, we genuinely can learn out of the past in terms of what not to do. And if we learn that, to my mind, we would have genuinely moved forward. We have situations which get created that the government of India wants to actually support inefficiency. And why I say that is, all of us know in private sector, I'm not talking of just the large, but look at the small people in the industry. He does something for a PSU, never gets paid for it till the time he has delivered and proven his product, and it's against that delivery he gets paid, whereas the PSU would have actually received all the money from the MOD upfront. And because the private sector now does something which essentially he loads his cost of capital to the cost, the PSU gets, in addition to that cost, the basic cost plus that added on cost, and on that added on cost he gets a handling and profit. So he's happy that instead of 100 rupees, he's happy taking additional 20-25 from the government of India, and the government of India is willing to give it. And under the secrecy what you just talked of, this is precisely what has been going on and on and on. And till such time there's that military industrial complex that doesn't genuinely come off, we would not do well. While I say this, last 3 DSE meetings, we have also seen 1.5 lakh crore worth of programs now being just cleared. And at least some of these programs, we see that level playing thing coming in. Some basic issues on that level playing still need to be addressed and have recently been very clearly hoisted. FICCI took a lead, both the chambers together actually approached the PMO, and what I probably want to tell everyone present here from the industry is the PMO actually gave out very, very clear guidelines of ensuring that there's this level playing field which is instated. And specific issues which were raised during that about 2-hour session, and there's clear guidelines now that have been issued, because if it doesn't happen here, it gets imported, and if it gets imported, we lose hard currency. And that's exactly where the PMO thought it was necessary. You said about very clearly, MOD needs to restructure. The primary issue what FICCI has been raising, and all of us have been talking on behalf of FICCI on this issue, is if you sit onto a board, I sit on 5 boards of Larsen & Toubro. If I sit on a board, it's natural for me to make a decision to favor that particular board. And that's exactly what you see between all the joint secretaries in the MOD. They actually sit on these PSU boards, and because he sits on it, when the PSU comes for a certain specific favor, he has no choice but to grant it, because without that the implication, he knows what are going to be the implication for that balance sheet and for that company. And this is precisely where the malice begins. And that's, to my mind, is another very serious issue which needs to be addressed. The day these few issues get addressed, I'm sure the military industrial complexes can be built in India. Private sector has played a very, very, I would say, serious role. Last 25-30 years, at least few organizations generally have been doing that. And let's look forward to that day when this pure level playing, fundamentally equality principle, which is guaranteed under the Constitution of India, does get followed under MOD, and then we can move forward from that.
Thank you, Jayanta. The issue is, if the security goes down to one individual, a citizen of India, then why can't that citizen take part in national defense preparedness? It's very simple. I mean, it's logical. I don't know where we are missing the point. And I think we need to trust our citizens and create systems which are then based on this, and not have these long-standing procedure that are being followed. Rahul.
Thanks. I will simply sum up our trials and tribulations with MOD into 2 white. First, the white man coming and the internet making the specifications so ubiquitous, you put all of them together, the best of the world, and fight it. Some changes have happened. I think Indian industry is maturing, and we have won some global competitions, so we think we are doing pretty decent, because our cost of doing any changes to Indian requirements are far cheaper than anybody else. The second white, I don't have a problem, which is the problem of a white passport. I still do not understand in this country. We are talking about cyber security, cyber this, cyber that. I know for sure that there are 5 or 6 IT companies in this country, and not one, I'm taking 5 or 6, who at least run major bank networks, SWIFT networks, on which trillions and trillions of dollars of transactions happen every day. However, I can't use the same very people to give any secure solution to Indian Armed Forces or Government of India. Because we have a blue passport and there are enough organizations who have black passport or a white passport. I have asked this question in many forums and I am asking it again. And I have never been able to get a simple answer other than saying, yeah, it should happen, but there should be a security policy. Now, that goddamn document is also out. So for heaven's sake, if this government is serious about Make in India, if this government is serious about talking about having a one point of all Indians are equal, they have to come together, then please for heaven's sake, disbandon this goddamn cipher policy issue. It would not, it's an executive order. You ask for whatever security we want. Yes, there would be a few companies which will go through. This is something which is very, very clear across the world. But for heaven's sake, come. I had asked this question to the gentleman who heads this, the head of DRDO, and he was saying, things are moving in the right direction. Goddamn, when is that direction coming? वो सुबह कब आएगी? Thank you.
Thanks, Rahul. अच्छे दिन आ गए. Right, Ashok.
Thank you, sir. You have already laid out in your 4 bullets the issues that we all face. You know, we can keep on talking about what has happened in the last 20 years and continues to happen. But we should be thinking what to do to actually change the mindset of all the stakeholders. The stakeholders are the users, and I'm sorry to say the user is looking at imported systems all the time because they make a visit outside and that's what they want. Then you look at the political class, not particularly committed except saying nice things in when we meet and get together in front of everyone that, you know, we will take 70% and whatnot. I've heard all that. Doesn't work. Then you take the bureaucracy. They're far better off than what they are doing. They don't want change. By nature, they are very happy with status quo. And the fourth is the invisible guy who's peddling everything. Delhi is filled with them. Now, how do you change this? Only one way, sir. Your first bullet of political will is the bullet that's going to change. We use all kinds of logic to justify what can be done and what cannot be done. With one very simple direction, I want everything from India, finished. And I don't want to hear anything other than this. And that's it. When I proposed this some time back, and I'm saying quite some time back, there was a retort from the uniform. आप लोग भी ट्रेडिंग करेंगे? हाँ जी करेंगे. कुछ तो इंडिजिनस होगा. आप बताओ ना कितना इंडिजिनस कंटेंट चाहिए. But that doesn't happen. We are far from reality. We can continue talking about this, but would this change the system? No. After all, we are FICCI here, we are industry association, and our job, our mandate, is to ensure that what is good for the country is forcefully projected. Yeah, we tried to do that in the past 8 years. We were talking to people who did not understand anything. The political will was zero. Actually, after the Kelkar committee, and once the defense minister changed to another person, the time stood still. So you can imagine 8 years of decay, and the time has stood still. But again, the time has changed. So let us together present our case simply in front of the nation and in front of the political masters of ours, that this is what needs to be done and this is what can be done. I represent the small and medium sector, the base of the industrial triangle. I think there is no technology that we cannot assimilate in bits by bit pieces, whether they are subsystems, component level and whatnot. But give us a chance. I think a lot can be achieved by simply modifying the structure a lot. I would conclude by making a second statement. Sir, you talked about the restructuring of MOD. It has been our demand from a very long time. Who do we go to? Nobody. Actually, there is nobody who has the interest of private sector in its mind. And this needs to happen. If you do not do this, nothing is going to happen, and we will keep on talking what I have been hearing, and my hair is now grey. In the 80s, I used to hear the 90s are ours. After that, the turn of century is ours. Then the 2010, and now we hear 2020. And believe you me, with 2050, we'll be talking the same thing. Sir, I also very much agree with what you are saying. In the parliament, the defense budget gets approved without a discussion. Why? Why there is not a public debate? Where are we spending the money and for what? And what are we getting out of it? It has to happen. It has to happen. And it is us again who should clamor it. That why there is no debate, why there are 500 and odd jokers sitting out there are not interested to even argue about it. In the name of national security, bullshit. They're just not applying their mind. So all these are measures that we need to take at the industry association levels to raise the awareness. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Just two comments. I was very intrigued by the question by young boy there at the back, he's not there, of what should we be indigenous in a system. It is like saying in a body, can I break your right leg or left leg? You have a choice, but you won't be able to walk. So the thing is that the product has to be indigenous, period. Second thing on what should we do, from 2001 till 2013, last Mishra committee report, the nation has done 7 gigantic studies by the top people in the country. The unfortunate part, and I'm talking about defense, huh? The unfortunate part is even the common points brought out by these 7 top committees of nation have not been implemented. And hence I talked about political will. Without that, nothing going to happen. And in a democracy, you have to have a constituency. This is not the constituency which is going to work. But we got to create that awareness to the people. Where do we go to? You go to people. Besides what you're doing now, and we are seeing a glimpse of political will. We are only hoping that it gets translated into something tangible on the ground as far as the national capability is concerned in national security. Mohan, all yours.
Thank you, sir. I am probably the only one who is from the other side of the world. I represent Rohde & Schwarz. Rohde & Schwarz is a German company, and like us, of course, so many other OEMs world over are looking at India as a very high potential country. And not from now, of course, for the last so many years, we have been seeing India as a very high potential country. A lot of business can be done, and people like me are really in trouble. Because when we go and approach our headquarters and we meet our CEOs there, they ask, Yatish, what are you doing in India? What's happening? Why are you not able to get some business from India? so much requirement, such a huge country. Unfortunately, as we all know, all the large projects have taken their own time. They have been delayed inordinately. But what we now see, and what also happened yesterday, DAC is clearing so many projects. We hope that the finally good days are going to come to India, and also for OEMs like Rohde & Schwarz. I mean, not only Rohde & Schwarz, I'm sure all the OEMs world over are waiting for this opportunity, that we can come and, let's say, do some kind of a business in India, whether directly or through local production. Today it is local production, and everybody is very keen. I mean, also Rohde & Schwarz is very keen to participate in any program which happens in India. We have been actually, let's say, as a company, I can tell you that Rohde & Schwarz has been cooperating in India for the last 20 years. We had 3 major corporations with Bharat Electronics, mainly in broadcasting area, and also in some of the receivers and some of the transceivers. And now we are planning to really, or aiming at partnering with some of the vendors, or let's say Indian bidders, for the prestigious projects of BMS. Well, I can only say that India needs to have partnership to leapfrog in the high technology. We cannot develop everything 100% in India. We cannot produce everything 100% in India. It's the area of partnership, and we have to take the strengths of global village. Wherever people are strong, we have to take that technology, and we have to use our strengths, which are definitely in software development. Future is software. It's already actually software. 80% of any product is actually software development. And now we can start developing some products in India with partnership, and can next steps think of having more variant of the product on our own. So I'm sure we have good days ahead, and all OEMs will have good time doing some business in India finally.
Thank you,
Thank
Mohan.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I will just take 1.5 minutes because of the few things I feel very strongly about, and I think they need to be said. And we must be clear about it. Let's just forget about that anybody will give you technology free. Just forget about it. So all this business of FDI and technology will come, please forget about it. And I'm saying with more than 50 years of experience. Okay, that's one part. So therefore, India will have to get on to a multilateral approach, which is concurrent, start from reverse engineering, collaboration, leapfrogging, civilization, and 100 of these things. You'll have to find ways and act like proud Indians to be able to make India the country that we need it to be. People look at us as a market. They should be looking at us differently. They should be looking at us as a capable nation to be able to contribute to the globalization. Now, I've just got 5 messages from the day's proceeding, and that probably the last. Digitized battlefield, we talked about the whole day. I just want to ask you one question. Who owns it and who has the complete picture? Is there an organization, including defense, which lays down what a digital battlefield, which incidentally is, again, I said, 125 crores for people are part of that digital battlefield. Who owns it? So we got to find answers to that. Digital battlefield demands total integration and synergy. How do we get that? When you go for a security parameter, you say, no, this thing belongs to MHA. Please go to them. Oh, you want people? Go to HRD. We got to get that mindset change in our culture. Think like Indians and act like one. Only then, in fact, the very basis of digital battlefield is synergy. So unless you have that, we are missing the wood. With practically negligible electronic manufacturing base in the country, how do we ensure security of our systems? We have I don't know how many of you know, we have a policy on electronics, 2012, issued 1 year before the cyber, which talks about, which that gentleman, Captain Sharma, is very fond of, the chip manufacturing and all that. 65,000 crores, project gone, this thing, but nothing really happened because JP couldn't sell his power plants. So whatever. The thing is, who is responsible? Who had to go to? I went to buy, as part of the national IT task force to Malaysia a Intel plant. In 1996, the plant, when we talked, they said it'll cost $3 billion. We came back and put in a file, that was the cost being indicated. 6 months, the file didn't move. After 6 months, we get a news, China has lifted that plant for $2.5 billion, period. No, those are intrinsic national strategic capabilities. Unless you have that, all this thing that we talked has no meaning. So therefore, we need to get our electronic manufacturing ground. In fact, we got to get our policy on electronics implemented right away by those manufacturing nodes and things like that, which that policy talks about. Next point, the fourth point, technological sovereignty demands, that's what we should be. We should be sovereign technologically. We shouldn't be slaves. Demands a multilateral approach with creation of indigenous technology at the center. So that is what we are looking at. And the last point, ladies and gentlemen, is what can we do and what is the enabling force, policy framework that we want. Let's do what we need to do at our own levels. Hopefully, things at the higher level will change. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, my panelists. Pandit? Who, Ashok? I thought, Pandit, I only read your name for the... Jayant, in any case, going to speak, yeah?
No, I just wanted to add a kind of concluding remark.
I'm sorry.
That, we always think of being too politically correct. I think it is the time now we need to be a little bit incorrect, politics-wise, so that we are able to engage the dialogue right with the political leadership to make them aware and to make them work for our nation, for our interest. That is all I can say.
Thank you. Sorry, Jayant, I missed that because here it was only
No,
the
no, that's
closing
fine.
point. Pandit, my apologies to you.
Thank
too.
you, sir. I will not take much time. I'll just finish it on a lighter mood. Now, I've been involved with the Defense Committee in FICCI for the past 10 years. I've been part of the pain and the trials and tribulations of all my CEOs here. 8 years down the road, I had a hiatus and I was off defense for a year. And when I came back, everybody said, Purana Papi wapis aa gaya. So the pain goes everywhere. So, and whatever General Kumar has articulated, we have been fighting it out at all forums and at all meetings. And let's hope अच्छे दिन आएंगे and things move better for the defense industry. And we can only be hopeful and positive for this. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We'll
Thank you
have
for
to
the-
push that, create a push for that.
Yeah. Yeah, there is some tea outside, so kindly join us for tea.